Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen of the holotables, to another Galaxy of Heroes video. Today we are getting galactically challenged with my bald head, and this time it's featuring yet another galactic legend, a rather large and laborious slug, you might say. Let's break this down.
Scrapsy, so give it up.
My dead body.
Okay then, so the modifiers for this galactic challenge are as follows. The global is Remnant of Power. Essentially, whenever we inflict a debuff, we gain a stack of Imperial Rule, which increases our offense and potency by 2% per stack. It's actually quite useful for us, and it's also incredibly deadly for the enemy. Grim Machinations is the name of our global modifier, our player modifier. It essentially means whenever one of our allies get defeated, the rest of our Sith allies, are going to gain more max health and more offense into the end of the battle, which is really, really useful. Also, if we happen to kill a unit, we are going to gain a stack of what's known as Dark Ascension, which means we gain additional decreased damage of 15% and we deal 30% more damage. Once again, very, very useful. The enemy has Thrill of the Hunt, which essentially means that they start with 90% reduced damage, which is really, really annoying. But each time we deal damage to them, that defense gets stripped away and eventually we can actually, hurt them a little bit. Let's take a look at the feats then. So, we need to complete the battle with a full team of Sith, we need to gain 3 critical hits in a row in ally turns, and we need to win after taking 8 turns in a row. All of these are very useful. You can do them with one team, all feats one team, but I'm going to give you a slew of teams for us to get this done with. Let's look at the first battle. So this is the team that we are going to be using. It is a Palpatine lead. I do definitely recommend Palpatine lead here. We're throwing in Darth Vader with Revan, Malak, and Darth Traya. Now, this is actually relatively straightforward. All you need is a decent opener where you can actually go. If you go in and you lose a unit out of the rip, just restart, guys. You should be able to get a run where it doesn't go too badly. Now, this will get you every single feat without using any GLs, and it is relatively easy. You have to go a little bit against the grain here, and you actually have to try to focus down Jabba as soon as possible, because if you let him build up a lot of those Dark Ascension stacks, or whatever it is, not Dark Ascension, if you let him build up a lot of that potency stacks that increases his offense, he's going to be a massive pain. Now, while they have that hired muscle buff, they can't actually be feared, so do keep that in mind when you're using your mass fear with Darth Revan, like I just wasted it there. We immediately go Crush, then into Merciless Massacre, and that essentially is going to give us our 8 turns in a row. You want to try and focus on getting ability blocks across the board, hopefully on Grief, hopefully on Jabba. That stops them being able to cleanse, that stops them being able to put retribution, etc, etc. Now, everybody here got ability blocked, which is absolutely great. And then I'm going to go ahead and throw the Isolate. I think I put it on Jabba. And I decreased the cooldowns on our Darth Vader because we want to get round to another Merciless Massacre as soon as possible. Let's try and get a control on the team. There we go. We got a couple of stuns there. Not too bad. Back into Merciless Massacre. Once again, save that Force Crush until you are out of Merciless Massacre. That way we'll be able to loop turns. Now you'll notice that Darth Vader over here has already racked up a whole bunch of that global modifier, that Remnant of Power. Goodbye, Grief. That's because he's putting out so many debuffs with his AoEs, which is just amazing. Okay, so I took out Grief at the start because I don't like the fact that he can heal, he can place Retribution on the enemy team. It's not ideal. Now, this is where I do things a little differently. I decide to focus exclusively on Jabba because I want to keep the enemy team relatively alive. You saw how much damage Django just did then? Wow. I want to keep the team relatively alive so there are more people on the enemy team for Darth Vader to farm debuffs. See that there? That Force Crush into a Culling Blade on Jabba took away all of his protection and a bit of his health. That's what we're looking to do here. Just focus entirely on Jabba the Hutt. Don't worry too much about the ads. We want to keep them a little bit alive. I'm just putting some control out there so that they don't actually, deal too much damage to me. Unfortunately, they did die of sadness a little bit, but you can see Jabba is close to being dead. We are 3 turns away from another Merciless Massacre. That additional Merciless Massacre should be able to put us in the position of being able to yeet out Jabba with another Culling Blade from Vader, and that's the ideal scenario you want to be in. So Django over there does ridiculous damage, so we are looking to try and control him, get that stun. There's a Force Crush, one more turn and we'll be back into Merciless Massacre. Bossk died of sadness, totally fine, and Jabba has got, about 30% of his health left. I decreased the cooldowns on Vader, not entirely necessary, I don't think. Straight into Merciless Massacre, and let's just cull the big boy. Booyah, 250,000 damage. Now it's just Django left. He's got damage immunity for one more turn, but he's stunned, he's controlled, we don't have to worry too much about him. Yeah, sure, I wasted a life drain there, but it's just Django on his own. Even with all the damage output in the world, he's not going to be able to chew through the rest of our team now. Not with Vader, with all of his stacks of that potency, is just going to be one tap in the full 750,000 damage there. Not too bad. Now, this is great if you don't have any GLs, guys. It's quite a reliable team to use against this. You just need a good opener. But if you do have GLs, either C or Lord Vader as the Sith GLs, feel free to go ahead and use them. Let's check those out. So we'll start off by going in with C. C is obviously the more accessible GL here. Now, as far as support is going, you always want to take in Darth Vader because he is the guy that's going to be giving you all those attacks, all those 8 attacks in a row, for example. C is actually quite useful because technically when he links, that's 2 turns in a row as well. So we get 2 turns in a row there. I've thrown in Sith Trooper because he actually assists quite frequently, and I find that that's helpful in getting rid of those stacks of true defense off the enemy, which, yeah, it's okay. You could probably throw in someone better like Basti or even Darth Revan and still do just as well. I just wanted to try using some different units here. Now, I've linked Jabba and I've linked Bosk here. I'm linking Jabba because, 1, I don't want him critting, and 2, it'd be quite nice to strip away all of his protection so that he cannot recover any. You'll notice I isolated here on Aurra Singh. That's just to stop her from hiding and, passing buffs to the enemy team, but it looks like I just kind of go all in. All we're really doing here, guys, is playing the waiting game more than anything. We're just waiting for the enemy to take plenty of turns so that we can, excuse me, so that we can hit our ultimate and yeet out a couple of people, having a good time. So they've hit contract, so Jango Fett once again has got that damage immunity, which is incredibly frustrating, but it's not too bad. So Django does, quite frankly, ridiculous levels of damage here, guys. You can use Darth Revan in this team, but he will try and health equalize with your C, so bear that in mind. Going around in the Merciless Massacre here, obviously we've already guaranteed that we've hit those 8 turns in a row, but Merciless Massacre is still very useful for getting ability blocks across the board. Getting those dots out will of course increase the Imperial rule stacks that you've got on Vader, which means more damage, more potency, which is all very good stuff. So still waiting here, waiting for our good man C to hit his ultimate. I was trying to play it here, that Bosk, might use his taunt and then he'll gain Frenzy and then he'll gain 2 extra turns and that would kind of supercharge our ability to hit C's ult, but it didn't really work out that way. And honestly, it doesn't really matter if you lose some of your allies here. Jabba doesn't have his ultimate, so we don't have to worry too much about that. All we really have to worry about is sapping away all of his protection. It feels like to me like this Jabba is operating very, very slow, which is quite frustrating because I was kind of hoping he'd be able to take more turns. I should really be focusing the damage here on Jabba the Hutt. So he's still got a healthy amount of protection right now. We do want him to lose all of that. Keeping the link on top of Jabba is important. I'm not ulting just yet because it gives us more opportunity to build up that additional ramping mastery on C. But eventually I think I do get fed up of waiting to use the ult. Not yet, we're just going all in on Jabba Labba Doodah. Immediately took off all of his protection there, most likely because the lion's share of that protection has already been sapped away by our good man C. Here we go, going around the corner. You can see Vader is starting to do some crazy damage. 100k basics there, not too shabby. 124,000 wasn't even enough to one-tap that Django. Django is juicy thick. You can see Jabba over there, he's lost most of his protection now, so quite comfortable. Well, he's completely lost his protection now. That's lovely. So that means he's never going to be able to recover that. I think at this point, you could probably link to actually make sure you guarantee kill someone, but hey, we do what we do. At this point, you can just put it on full auto, guys. C will eventually kill Jabba. Jabba doesn't have any protection to recover. We're pretty healthy in general. We're going to be gaining stacks of those Imperial rules. Not quite as fast as Jabba, obviously, but we outnumber him. He can't recover any health. He can't recover any protection thanks to that locked shock that we'll be putting out on C's basic. So just keep on going. And because he's quite often ability blocked as well, it means that all he can do really is basic. And that doesn't do much outside of put blind out. So there we go. Slowly, even Malgus doing some decent damage here. Malak, apologies. And eventually you tickle Jabba to death. Now, it can also be done with Lord Vader because Lord Vader is a Sith GL as well. Let's check that out. So similar sort of concept. We need to take in Darth Vader, and I've just thrown in DR, Malak, and once again Sith Trooper. I mean, you could throw in Treya, you could throw in Nihilus, you could throw in... Basically, Lord Vader is going to be doing the lion's share because of that Imperial rule. Lord Vader, every time he takes a turn, he's putting out 2 debuffs to the entire team. So, you know, at full, that's 10 stacks, so he'll gain at least 10 stacks of Imperial rule every single time he takes a turn when the enemy has a full cadre of units, which means he ramps damage very quickly. 35 stacks of Imperial rule is what, 70% offense and potency. See, 47, how quickly he ramps that. So he's going to be doing all of the carrying, basically. I'm pretty certain we lose a couple of units, but Lord Vader just gets angry by the end of things and will absolutely decimate. I'm pretty confident, guys, that you could probably just go in and hit full auto on this one and absolutely win. But you do want to make sure that you hit those crits. You do want to make sure that you take those 8 turns in a row. That's why we're throwing in Darth Vader here alongside his younger, unburnt self. DR is actually quite good as well. I like that AoE shock. It also helps him ramp those stacks of Imperial rule. Now, the only problem with using Darth Revan in this lineup is he will health equalize with the healthiest ally, which inevitably is going to be your Lord Vader, and that means you're going to hurt your Lord Vader quite a bit. It's not the end of the world, though, because, you know, even once Darth Revan dies, which he will eventually die, all that's going to do is feed additional offense, additional health, and TM over to Lord Vader, which is great. Boom, look at that. We've got 104 stacks of Imperial rule. So we're going to start doing some rather juicy, funky damage right about now. Right about now. And of course, Lord Vader is also going to be ramping his mastery, especially when he ults and all this sort of business. Just down to Jabba the Hutt and Jango Fett right now. And I'm feeling pretty confident. It also feels like their Jango is very slow. Very, very slow. Because we loop Jango a couple of times. It feels like he stays in damage immunity for 1 to 3 years. Which can be frustrating, but ultimately not too much of an issue. As you can see, Lord Vader now with his 122 stacks of Imperial rule is starting to go places rather quickly. Do a big hit over there, 70, not too bad. And of course, that middle attack over there, that first special, is going to be ramping his damage. I think it's up to 5 times. 5 times after it's been used 5 times, I think it hits its maximum rampage. And of course, Darth Vader can also contribute quite well with Culling Blade. So yeah, all in all, not so bad. Jango there actually dying of sadness once, and then Malak just life drains him out of existence. Super smashing great, straight into Merciless Massacre. We might as well do a Force Crush, put some dots down, just a basic. Big hit. This also puts heal immunity on Jabba, which is very useful, stopping him recovering. Malak will almost always miss, which is just frustrating. And a Culling Blade there, finally from Darth Vader. It's pretty easy with these Sith guys, really not so bad, and it's just what we like to see going into Monday mornings. Now it is Monday morning does mean that we are going to be starting up Conquest once again, guys. I recommend you check out my video series on that. I will get the Sector 5 and the Global Feats video out just in time for this. So apologies for the delay. Hit that like, hit that subscribe button. Make sure you give my head a little squeak there because it is so very shiny. I'll see you all in the very next video, guys. Peace out, and may the Force be with you.